Welcome back. When we talk about the golden age of gaming, there's one title that stands out as a true pioneer of the action-adventure genre. Metroid. Released by Nintendo in 1986 for the Famicom Disk System in Japan and the NES in North America, Metroid wasn't just another side-scrolling shoot-'em. It was a revolution. From its atmospheric music and open-world exploration to the unforgettable plot twist at the end, Metroid redefined what players expected from video games. It laid the groundwork for an entire genre now known as Metroidvania, blending exploration, puzzle solving, and combat in a seamless, non-linear world. Metroid introduced players to a dark and mysterious alien world. The game's protagonist, Samus Aran, became one of gaming's first female heroes, though this wasn't revealed until the game's end, a twist that shocked and delighted players around the globe. This wasn't just a game. It was an experience that left players wanting more, craving to uncover every secret hidden within the corridors of the planet Zebes. The game's dark, moody atmosphere was enhanced by its minimalist, haunting soundtrack composed by Hirokazu Tanaka. The music in Metroid wasn't just background noise, it was an integral part of the experience, setting the tone for each area and creating a sense of isolation and tension that few games had achieved before. From the eerie silence of the Brinestar depths to the intense, pulse-pounding beats of the boss battles, the soundtrack remains one of the most iconic in gaming history. In the years since its release, Metroid has become more than just a classic. It's a cornerstone of gaming history. It spawned numerous sequels, spin-offs, and even a whole subgenre of games that continue to captivate players to this day. For many, Metroid was their first taste of a game world that felt truly alive, where exploration was as important as combat, and where the thrill of discovery was its own reward. It's a game that continues to inspire, challenge, and entertain, proving that even decades later, Samus Aran's first mission is as memorable as ever. Metroid may have been revolutionary for its gameplay, but its story added a layer of depth that drew players into its alien world. Set in a distant part of the galaxy, Metroid begins with a sinister plot by the Space Pirates, a ruthless group of intergalactic outlaws. They have stolen a newly discovered life form known as a Metroid from the Galactic Federation, intending to harness its parasitic powers as a weapon of mass destruction. These creatures, originating from the planet SR-388, are capable of draining energy from any living being, leaving nothing but a lifeless husk. The space pirates see the potential to use Metroids as biological weapons to dominate the galaxy. The Galactic Federation knows they must act quickly. The Metroids cannot be allowed to fall into the wrong hands. Enter Samus Aran, a legendary bounty hunter known for her unmatched skills and enigmatic past. Samus is sent on a solo mission to infiltrate the space pirates' base on the planet Zebes, eliminate the threat, and destroy the Metroid specimens before the pirates can harness their power. The story of Metroid is largely told through its environment, a technique that was uncommon at the time of its release. There are no lengthy dialogues or cutscenes to explain what's happening. Instead, the narrative is conveyed through the game's haunting atmosphere, the increasingly desperate opposition Samus faces, and the eerie, desolate feel of Zebes itself. The planet's labyrinths feel like they were once a thriving ecosystem or a long-lost civilization now corrupted by the space pirates, adding a sense of history and tragedy to Samus's mission. Mother Brain, the central antagonist, is a fitting final boss for the game. As the player reaches the end of the journey, they confront this grotesque, brain-like entity encased in a glass chamber protected by a barrage of lasers and other defenses. The battle is tense and challenging, pushing players to use every skill they've honed throughout the game. Defeating Mother Brain not only means the end of the Space Pirates' plans, but also the salvation of the galaxy from the Metroid menace. And then, of course, there's the iconic twist. If the player completes the game within a specific time, Samus removes her helmet, revealing that the galaxy's most feared bounty hunter is, in fact, a woman. This reveal was groundbreaking at the time, and added a powerful new dimension to the story. It wasn't just about saving the galaxy, it was about breaking boundaries and challenging expectations. Samus's identity became a defining aspect of the series, making her one of the most iconic characters in video game history. Metroid's story is simple yet effective, using the isolation of Zebes and the looming threat of the space pirates to create a narrative that's as engaging as it is atmospheric. It set the stage for the deeper, more intricate stories that would follow in the series while still standing on its own as a masterclass in minimalist storytelling. By the time the credits roll, players aren't just left with a sense of accomplishment, they're left with the memory of a world that felt truly alive, a heroine who redefined what it meant to be a video game protagonist, and a story that continues to resonate across generations. Metroid was a game that dared to break the mold of traditional platformers, offering players a unique blend of exploration, combat, and puzzle solving that would define a genre. At its core, Metroid is a side-scrolling action-adventure game, but what sets it apart from its contemporaries is the non-linear structure that encourages backtracking and discovery. The gameplay is all about immersing the player in an interconnected world, where progress is tied not just to skill, but to exploration and the clever use of newly acquired abilities. Players take control of Samus Aran, a bounty hunter equipped with a powerful suit of armor known as the Power Suit. Right from the start, Metroid introduces players to a vast, maze-like world that's filled with secrets, locked doors, and hidden pathways. The planet Zebes is divided into distinct regions: Brinestar, Norfair, Ridley's Lair, and Turian, each with its own unique enemies, environmental hazards, and challenges. The game doesn't hold your hand. Instead, it throws you into this hostile environment and expects you to figure out how to survive and progress on your own. One of the defining gameplay mechanics of Metroid is its emphasis on exploration and power-ups. Unlike many other games of its time, where the goal was simply to move from one stage to the next, Metroid requires players to backtrack and revisit areas after acquiring new ability. This design choice was revolutionary and gave the game a sense of depth and complexity that was rare in 1986. Players start with a basic set of abilities, but as they explore, they find various upgrades that enhance Samus's capabilities, allowing her to access previously unreachable areas. These power-ups are the heart of Metroid's gameplay. The most iconic of these is the Morph Ball, which allows Samus to curl into a ball and roll through narrow passages. This ability is often one of the first upgrades players find, and it immediately opens up new areas to explore. Then there's the Ice Beam, which lets Samus freeze enemies, turning them into temporary platforms, adding a strategic layer to combat and exploration. Another key upgrades include the various Suit, which reduces damage and allows Samus to survive in extreme heat. Combat in Metroid is fast-paced and challenging, with a variety of enemies that require different strategies to defeat. Samus starts with a basic beam weapon, but as players progress, they can find upgrades like the Wave Beam, which allows her shots to pass through walls, or the Long Beam, which extends the range of her attacks. The game also features several boss battles, each more difficult than the last, requiring players to master their abilities and think strategically. These bosses, such as Kraid and Ridley, are massive, screen-filling creatures that serve as the ultimate tests of skill and endurance. Another key aspect of Metroid's gameplay is the sense of isolation it creates. Unlike many other games of its era, Metroid doesn't bombard players with constant enemies or overwhelming action. Instead, it often leaves players alone to navigate its eerie, desolate environments, with the only sounds being the subtle, haunting music and the occasional beep of a door opening. This creates a unique atmosphere of suspense and tension, making every encounter feel significant and every discovery feel like a major achievement. One of the most memorable gameplay moments comes at the end of the game, when Samus confronts Mother Brain, the mastermind behind the Space Pirates' plans. The battle is intense, requiring players to dodge an onslaught of projectiles while attacking Mother Brain's vulnerable glass chamber. After defeating Mother Brain, players must escape Zebes in a timed sequence, adding a final burst of adrenaline to the experience. This escape sequence has become a hallmark of the series, appearing in many subsequent Metroid games. The gameplay of Metroid is a masterclass in design, blending exploration, combat, and puzzle solving into a seamless, engaging experience. It's a game that challenges players to think creatively, to explore every corner of its world, and to constantly push forward in the face of adversity. Even decades after its release, Metroid remains a shining example of what makes video games so compelling: the thrill of discovery, the joy of mastering new abilities, and the satisfaction of overcoming seemingly insurmountable challenges. When Metroid first hit the scene in 1986, it wasn't just the gameplay that captured the imagination of players, it was also the game's striking graphics and haunting sound design. At a time when many NES games were still leaning on bright, cheerful visuals, and catchy tunes, Metroid dared to be different. It immersed players in a dark, atmospheric world, using its graphics and sound to create a sense of isolation and danger that was almost unheard of in the gaming landscape of the mid-80s. Metroid presented players with a world that felt truly alien. The planet Zebes was brought to life through a combination of eerie, otherworldly environments and a color palette that set the tone for each of its distinct regions. Brinestar, the game's starting area, is a tangle of rocky, organic structures, with earthy tones and sprawling caves that give it a wild, untamed feel. As players delve deeper into Zebes, they encounter the fiery, lava-filled depths of Norfair, with its intense reds and oranges, which convey the intense heat and danger of the environment. The sprite work in Metroid is simple but effective. Samus herself is instantly recognizable, with her iconic orange and red power suit standing out against the darker backgrounds. The designers cleverly used the limited graphical capabilities of the NES to give Samus a sense of weight and power, with smooth animations that made controlling her feel precise and responsive. The environmental design is another standout feature. Despite the hardware limitations, the game's artists managed to create a world that feels alive, with each area of Zebes packed with detail. The use of repeating tile sets helps convey the labyrinthine nature of the planet, making each area feel like a piece of a larger, interconnected whole. Secret passages are often hidden in plain sight, blending seamlessly into the environment, encouraging players to pay close attention to their surroundings. Metroid is a masterclass in using music and sound effects to build atmosphere. Composed by Hirokazu Tanaka, the soundtrack is unlike anything else from the era. Where many games opted for catchy, upbeat melodies, Metroid chose a more minimalist approach, with music that enhances the feeling of isolation and unease. The themes for each area are carefully crafted to match the environment, from the mysterious, almost haunting melody of Brinestar to the menacing, pulse-pounding rhythms of Norfair. The music often steps back entirely, allowing silence or ambient sounds to dominate, which only heightens the tension as players explore the unknown. The iconic title screen theme sets the tone immediately, with its eerie, foreboding notes letting players know they're about to embark on a journey into the unknown. This theme has become synonymous with the series, instantly recognizable to fans and setting the stage for the adventure to come. One of the most memorable sound moments in the game is the alarm that blares during the final escape sequence after defeating Mother Brain. The frantic, high-pitched siren, combined with the ticking countdown, creates a sense of urgency that perfectly complements the intensity of the moment. It's a brilliant use of sound to enhance gameplay, making the escape feel even more desperate and exciting. Overall, the graphics and sound of Metroid work in perfect harmony to create a game world that feels cohesive, immersive, and genuinely atmospheric. They draw players into the experience, making them feel like they're truly exploring an alien world, where every sight and sound contributes to the sense of being alone in a hostile, unfamiliar place. But even today, the visual and auditory design of Metroid stands out as a key factor in its enduring legacy, showing how much can be achieved with creative design and a clear vision, even on limited hardware. The legacy of Metroid is one that has left an indelible mark on the video game industry, influencing countless titles and spawning a franchise that has become one of Nintendo's most beloved. When Metroid was released in 1986, it wasn't just another entry in the growing library of NES games. It was a trailblazer that redefined what video games could be. Its impact is still felt today, not only in the games that directly followed, but in the entire genre it helped create. A major part of Metroid's legacy is its role in establishing the Metroidvania genre, a term that would later be coined to describe games that emphasize exploration, non-linear progression, and the acquisition of power-ups that unlock new areas. The combination of platforming, puzzle-solving, and backtracking was revolutionary at the time, and it laid the groundwork for future classics like Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Hollow Knight, and Ori and the Blind Forest. These games owe a huge debt to Metroid's design philosophy, and many modern titles still draw inspiration from its intricate world design and the satisfaction of discovery. Metroid also broke new ground in terms of storytelling in video games. The reveal that Samus was a woman was nothing short of groundbreaking. At a time when most video game heroes were male, the twist at the end of Metroid, not only challenged gender stereotypes, but also showed that video games could be a medium for delivering unexpected and powerful narrative moments. Samus Aran quickly became one of gaming's first female icons, and her legacy continues to inspire discussions about representation in video games. The game's design principles also carried over into the world of indie games, where many developers have taken inspiration from Metroid's approach to create their own tributes and reinterpretations. Indie hits like Axiom Verge and Dead Cells are direct descendants of the original Metroid, proving that its influence continues to shape the gaming landscape even decades after its release. Metroid's legacy is also seen in the continued popularity of the character Samus. She has appeared in numerous spin-offs, comics, and crossover games, like Super Smash Bros., where she remains a fan favorite. Samus's iconic look, particularly her power suit and the morph ball ability, have become symbols not just of the Metroid series, but of gaming culture as a whole. Her role as a powerful, independent heroine has made her a lasting symbol of strength and resilience in the gaming community. As we look back, it's clear that Metroid was more than just a successful game. It was a turning point for the industry. It challenged conventions, introduced new ideas, and created a blueprint that countless games have followed. The term Metroidvania alone speaks volumes about the game's enduring influence. For many, Metroid was the first game that made them feel like they were truly exploring a living, breathing world full of secrets and mysteries waiting to be uncovered. It's a legacy that continues to inspire, proving that even after all these years, Metroid is still one of the most important and influential games ever made. Thank you for joining us. If you liked this deep dive into the retro world of Metroid, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, keep questing and keep gaming.